Welcome back to the BuiltOnAir podcast. I hope you missed us. We were off for a week, but we are back to continue season 19. We are in the second half of the season, starting with episode 5 today. Good to be with you. Good to see Ali and Camille as always.
Hello.
And welcome June, our guest for today. Hi, June.
Hi.
Good to have you on. We'll learn more about June and his background and story and what he's got going on later in the show. First, I'll walk us through what we're going to be doing today. It's always 4 segments highlighting, starting with our Round the Bases to keep you up to date on all the latest news and features with Airtable. Then sponsorship onto Air, talk about them. And then we'll learn about Jun Shen and his background and what brought him into this ecosystem, and then he will share his application called Airtable Shortcuts, and then talk about how to join our community. And then finally, Ali is going to walk us through filtering within interfaces by calculating NPS scores. So that will round out today's show. Excited. Okay, so we've been off for a couple weeks. A few things have happened. First one was an acquisition. Dopt. I had never heard of this company, but it looks like it's a onboarding tool to kind of walk customers through how to use your product. It was driven through like AI functionality, and it looks like Airtable has acquired them, so they may be enhancing their onboarding. The TechCrunch article says it's an acqui-hire, so it doesn't look like they will necessarily take the product per se, but we'll be bringing that talent into the Airtable team. So another acquisition by Airtable.
Makes a little bit more sense to me than some of the previous acquisitions. Over the years, they've been boning up their onboarding, which I, of course, don't see because I've already been onboarded, I think, 5 years ago. So I just sort of trust that things work the way that they should.
Yeah. I notice. Yeah, whenever I sign up like a new client or something, like they definitely put a lot of attention to that onboarding. And if you already know it, it's kind of annoying. I'm sure it's useful if you've never used Airtable. Yeah. So we'll see. But it looks like they have some AI talent, so they're definitely beefing up on their AI, which is actually another big thing they pushed. I believe we talked about this before, but CoBuilder is the name of their AI base generator, which is now live. And I've used it. It's pretty cool. It'll build interfaces and
automations.
Does it do automations?
I don't know.
I don't think it does automations. If it does, you can. I know I tried testing it and telling it like specifically to build automations, and it wouldn't. But it might behind the scenes. I don't think it actually does automations. I know it does interfaces and obviously the base, and it does populate it with data. So it's kind of cool to get you started. It's really kind of like a prototype solution, just give you an idea of what you could get started with. I don't see it as a full-blown. And also once you use it once, you can't like update an existing base by using the CoBuilder. It's only for new bases, at least for now.
That was kind of my question, was like, I could see it being useful if you're like on a team and you're like, oh, we really need this tool to add to our database. Like, can we do it? But yeah, I haven't played with it yet. I'm interested. I've heard really good things. I've heard people are pretty impressed with the results of it. So that's exciting.
Yeah, it'd be nice for existing bases if you could say, build me a new interface based on these tables that includes these 10 fields or something on it. But yeah, what the CoBuilder does today, it always starts from scratch, which is good if you're starting new, but it'd be nice if you could add on to something that already existed.
Yeah, I'd be curious if they implement that. Might be in the roadmap. If you'd like to know more about how the CodeBuilder was built, they've got some videos kind of explaining the behind the scenes and summary about it, with some more videos talking about it and case studies. And so there's some more depth to that. Okay, a couple other new features. Here's one that Camille found. Tell us about this one, Camille.
So earlier, I want to say last month or perhaps the month before, they released a new action type in automations where you could take the output of a find record step and sort the results. But at the time, you could only have one sort setting that was global. So if you wanted to sort by 3 different fields, you would only be able to say sort all 3 of these fields by either ascending to descending or the other way around. Which was not how views worked because you could control individual fields. Sort the first one ascending and then the second one descending, etc. But this month they released the ability to do that within the sort list action in automations. So that's it. That was, I think, one of the only little gotchas about that action type. You still can't quite give me the top 5 results. But it's nice. It's much more useful if you want to like put that output inside an email or something, or if you want to keep your linked records all nice and orderly. This is pretty useful to do that.
Yep. That's cool.
Actually, I wonder, could you have a view? Because when you find records, you can do it based on a condition or based on a view. If you have a view that's sorted with like your top, like by the field you want to get the top like 5 customers or something, if you sort that view and then you find the records based on that view, can you limit that to just 5? I think
you can. So that I think is the only way to do it. But you would require a view. So if you needed to find records based on some variable condition, then you're kind of stuck. But if you have like standard conditions, like if the filter was just going to be this week or something, that could be a view, and then you could do top 5.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. I try to avoid searching based on a view just because it's so much more fallible. But that's a way to do it. That's cool.
Yeah, very true. Cool. That's a nice one. That one did not show up in their list of what's new. This one did, but Ben was the first to call it out. Automation version and editing history. I'll show you. There's a good thread there. Let's jump to this right here.
I love this one.
Like.
This is great.
It captures almost everything that you would need to know about a specific iteration of your automation. The few things that it doesn't capture or that I don't know where you'd be able to see it is like if you renamed the automation or something or changed the description, I don't see that being visible as part of the history. But other than that, it looks exactly like it looks when you edit an automation. So you could click into each individual step and see its configuration settings. You can see when it was modified and who did it, which is great if you want to start pointing fingers. The history includes when an automation is turned on or off. That counts as an edit, although it's not entirely clear that was the edit, if that makes sense. It's not like Git where it'll highlight what changed. It's just like a snapshot of each one. Still very useful. The one thing is like, Dan, if you go back a screenshot, if you were not the best example, but if you were looking at the history and then you had like a dynamic condition or something that you were like, insert this value from the trigger record, that comes in like a little pill. You can't hover over that pill to see more text out of it. Like if the name of the field was really long and you had 2 very similarly named fields, it might be a little unclear which field was being referenced, but I think all they have to do to update that is to add that to the little pop-up that comes up. Right now, if you hover over the pill, it'll tell you what step it came from, but not like the full name of whatever it's trying to say. It's a very minor, I think, UI thing, but this is like so useful if you manage large, complex systems as part of a team.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the other day, I actually used it the other day because I found an automation in a very large base, and it was just called Automation 2. And I was like, who did this? And then I like looked at it. I did it 2 years ago. I was like, oh, I guess I can shut this off and get rid of it.
Yep.
That's funny. Okay, so a revision is basically once you make any change, that will automatically disable that automation, and then once you enable it, that's the end of a revision.
I believe when you click the update button, yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, and I always knew that they were keeping track of revisions. You know that because if a automation fails and you're like, oh, there's a bug in it, and you make a change, my assumption would be that if you reran it, it would use the latest version of the automation, but it uses the version that it originally ran with, which means we're storing that information.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's what I wish there was a way to rerun it with the latest iteration.
I wish that as well. But yeah, this launched, it became available end of July, but it had history for the ones I was looking at, through early July, like July 1st. So it wasn't like they turned it on and that was the only history you had that day going forward. You, at least in my experience, had a month worth of history, which is also nice because, you know, what if the mistake happened last week? You gotta redo that.
I think it went back, like I said, like that one I looked at the other day, it went back 2 years.
Oh, Jesus. All right, then never mind. So that automation was just new, the one I was looking at. But yeah, it's really nice that the data that they have is made available rather than starting August 1st. Here's all your history.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure it depends on what plan you're on too, like all your revision history. This automation was on an enterprise plan and they have 3 years, I think. So that's why back so far.
Yeah, this doesn't say how long it will be there. All right, one more big one finally came out last week. Linked records and sync tables.
I haven't played with it yet. I'm so excited about it, but I'm also scared of it because I'm gonna have to put in so much work to like rip out all my old stuff and replace it with this new stuff. And I'm like, oh no. But
yes. So I was doing some speculating. They sort of announced that this was going to happen via email to, I believe, anyone who had a synced view that was made as at least partially editable in the downstream bases. And I was speculating as how exactly they would allow you to edit linked records. And then the answer is they would, now when you sync a view that includes a linked record field, it's going to give you an option to also sync whatever that table is that it's linking to as well. So I think it's called synced, linked tables or something like that as another option that you'll see under the share menu when you start sharing a different view. And I believe in the documentation, it says that you can convert existing linked records. So you don't necessarily have to start from scratch. I haven't played with that yet to see how well that works. But like Allie, there are a lot of bases that were done without this in place that would require a little bit of rework if we wanted to make use of this feature. But on a go-forward basis, this should make a lot of builds a lot easier to maintain that relationship across different syncs.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. There's a support article. Continue next few weeks, so you may not have it yet. Maybe next week's show we'll do a segment on this. That'd be good. Because this is very much a game changer.
Big one.
All right. There was, let's see, this one we have already talked quite a bit about. They finally updated the what's new section. just multiple fields in the chart. So yeah, we actually did a segment on this as well. So check out previous episodes on that. And I think that's all of them. CoBuilder, yep, these are all older ones. So I don't know. Yeah, that's all they got there. Okay, so yeah, this is an exciting one. More, and if you want to get deeper into the AI, Howie Liu talked on a podcast and also on this webinar about the new features, in particular the CoBuilder. Not sure if they highlighted the synced linked records on this one, but you can dive deeper into that. And then Howie was also on a podcast talking about kind of the future of Airtable and how it's using AI and the future of AI and things like that. So good to get that. And then one more. We always like products that are tangential to Airtable. NoLoco is a popular portal builder, app builder on top of Airtable, and looks like this week they're having their launch week. So new features released every day, which seems to be a popular thing to do for products. So today's or yesterday's ability to scan QR codes and things like that on the mobile. So if you like NoLoco, check that out.
This morning they released pivot tables.
Okay. All right. So pivot tables. Very good. Okay, I think that rounds up our around the bases. And with that, let's move on. Onto our backups. If you are using your Airtable for critical data, you want to make sure that your data is backed up outside of Airtable. That's where OnToAir comes in. Has the ability to back up your data to Google Drive, Box, and Dropbox. Includes data, base schema, and all your attachment files as well. So check out ontoair.com. Use promo code BuiltOnAir for a discount and start backing up and have peace of mind that your data is secure outside of Airtable. With that, June, let's learn more about June.
Yeah, let me turn on my microphone. Yeah, nice to meet you all.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, it's great, and yeah, having joined this community at about 4 months ago, and it's my first time that I could join a live podcast and talk with the great Airtable experts in these communities. Yes, because we're building a product that is related to Airtables, and I have a lot of conversations with our users, but most of them they don't have very strong background of Airtables, so I always spend a long time explaining to them that what is Airtables. But it's the first time that I could directly talk to the experts in these domains. So this means that I can just skip many background introductions and directly talk with you to the core. Yeah, it's just super cool, I believe. Yeah,
that's kind of funny because a lot of times one of the hardest questions to answer when you're just sort of getting started being an expert in Airtable is trying to explain to other people, what is Airtable?
Yeah, what is Airtable? Yeah, and what does this app can do? And what we can answer is that only we can answer this is very powerful applications, an all-in-one application. You can build any customized app that you wanted. And when the people hear about this, they will ask, "What do you mean?" Yeah,
that's absolutely right. So when you first sort of started with Airtable, what kind of drew you to it?
Oh, in my first time, it's about 6 years ago in the 2018. At that time, I'm still a student, and when I browsed some forums about the productivities, and I found that there's frequently discussions about the Airtables, and at that time, people are talking about that they use Airtables to build their personal systems that for the productivity issues, and there are students that use Airtable to build their to hold their lecture list, and use Airtable to track their habits. And so at that time, I know Airtables and I use it and majorly for building some personal things. And just then after that, I graduated from school and I spent 3 years in Amazon as a software engineer. And I know that in the industry we write code to build large systems, but I know that something has been changed in the outside. There are more and more companies that are using no-code tools, and a lot of people are using the Airtables to build their applications. So it's a big change in the software industry also. The no-code tools, they have building large impact to the programmers. So when I leave Amazon and to start building a startup with my co-founders, and we look into that if there be some tools that we could build for the Airtable users. And at that time, and I have more background learned about the Airtables and how large companies they are using Airtables to build amazing systems and this largely expand my visions about what's the modern ways of building software. Yeah, it's a great lesson for a programmer. Yeah,
that's
about
so
no-code
cool that you have both of those backgrounds, both the more technical software engineer side, but also, 2018 it's not the earliest we've heard from Airtable experts, but it's pretty early. So you've been in the game for a while. So I guess how do you think that might have affected how you worked with Airtable, having such like a strong background in the more traditional web technology kind of thing?
Yeah. Actually, I think that the biggest change that Airtable brought to me is that it affects how we build our products, because we are a startup and we have multiple products. And in the beginning, when I came out of the company, came out of the Amazons, when we built our first product, everything was done by code. And then we use Amazon's cloud service. We write every code on our own. And but after learning Airtables, that we know that for a startup, especially in the early phases, you don't have a very large number of users. So if you use code, and which means that your development speed would be very, very low. But with the no-code tools, that you can we can build same systems in at least half of the times, and even 1/3 of the times to build same systems. And because Airtable is super flexible, so we can have further freedoms to adjust the fields and new tables. And so this is a great, I think the biggest impact to me is that it changes the development process of us. And before have deep understanding of the Airtables, we write code to do everything. But with the knowledge of Airtables, we know that we could use many of the code process could be fully replaced by Airtables. And when I'm sharing this learning with my some colleagues, that they are still working in the Amazons, and most of them, they couldn't believe that. And I told them that we didn't write much code, and we largely heavily using no-code tools to do that. And some of my friends, they will be very amazed. And so, what is no-code tools? Why did you don't write code? And yeah, so this is my biggest learning.
Yeah, I think there's still a lot of overlap in terms of the skill set. Like building with no code stuff like Airtable does make a lot of things faster, but you still have to think very critically about your data schema. And, you want to name things appropriately and add descriptions where you can. And all of that sort of thinking, I think, does transfer over. But boy, does it save a lot of time.
Yes, yeah. Actually, in the when we are in Amazon, when we are developing a software, the process will be firstly we have a design doc, and then we will have to implement that. And I think that when we are using Airtables, the design phase is still same. We still need to propose a very well formatted database schemas. But in the implement phase, that we could when we learn that many times we don't need to use code. We can just use it, implement it in the Airtables. And potentially the biggest limitations of current Airtable is that it has very heavy rate limit, which means that in every seconds at most 5 requests could be sent to the base. Yeah, but other than that, I think that it's super flexible and can replace a lot of coding.
Have you personally run into the like record limits and automation limits?
For the record limit, and we didn't because we're currently in a team plans, and so yeah, and all the limitations will occur when the user count has been increased, and at that phase we'll meet those issues. But in the current phase, and I think the bottleneck of a company is the marketing, because all the founders, yeah, we are both coders, and my co-founders, and we know about how to build our product, but we are very struggled in how to do the marketings and how we could actually we want to increase the user count of product, that we use advertisement, we use social marketings, but that the growth is still slow. So at current phase, we didn't meet much bottleneck of the automations and the base record. Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm excited to see what you have to show us.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The Airtable. Let me share my screen.
Yeah, if you want to share your screen. So you're going to showcase the app that you've been working on last couple of months called Airtable Shortcuts.
Sure.
Once you share
I'm
your
super
screen.
excited. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited as well. They're actually, this week we were talking about a need for an iOS shortcut. So I'm excited to see how you've got this working.
Oh, let me share my screen. So could you see the slides?
Yeah, just 1 second. There we go. Yep.
Great. Yeah. The Airtable series shortcuts. Yeah. And this is our topic today. So the first slide is about self-introduction, but I think we have already done that in the previous sections. So let's just jump over. And I want to start with the problem first. Why we build Airtable iOS shortcuts? What's the problem that drives it? We are both Airtable users, and we are using Airtable every day, and we are super heavy users of Airtables. We use it to create journal, create tasks, for time tracking, for marketing. But there's the problem is that there are lots of manual steps to just create one record in the Airtable mobile app. So imagine that when we take out our phone and we want to create a record into one of our tables in Airtables, the process will be super heavy. We need to firstly take out the phone and unlock it, and because Airtable is a database app, it has data hierarchy. So we need to firstly find the base, and next we need to find the tables, then find the views, and lastly we want to click the add buttons, and we need to start the typing work. And only after this long process, and we could just create one record. So, and also there's in the mobile app, there's a long loading of the Airtables, which is the circle that be rounding. So we have this some user surveys, and the normal Airtable users, they will need to, for people that they are using Airtable to collect their daily informations, usually they need to create 7 to 8 times record in a day. But for and if you look into these numbers, 8 times a day, and every time it takes them 2 minutes to create one record, and they will need to repeat the process every day in a year. So it's 300 days. And if you multiply both factors, there'll be a scale number displayed, which is 101 hours wasted every year for just creating those record using the Airtable mobile app. So it's very large numbers. We can do a lot of more things in these 100 hours. And another factor about this problem is that this problem exists on all the devices. So no matter we are using the phones or the laptops. So because even we're on our laptops, we will still need to type in airtable.com, find our base, find our tables. Yeah, and another thing that is harms is the user experience. Because if most people, when they found that one thing is very tedious to do, it takes them long process to do. The first decisions most people will choose is that just why not that I just don't do it at all. So if I'm Airtable users, I find it's very hard to create one record in the Airtable mobile app. So why not I just don't use the Airtable mobile app and I don't create those records. But actually it harms the user experience a lot. And last factor is that power users are suffering more. So for heavy users of Airtables, they have more frequent usage than normal users, which means that there's more times that they need to create record in the Airtables in a day. So if a user uses the Airtable mobile apps 16 times a day, and the wasted time in a year could be 200 hours. And those time being wasted, they are just divided into every days, into different period of the days. So the time lapse is just accumulated, and in the end, it's become large numbers. So this is the problems, and now let's talk about the solutions. So actually, if we look into these problems, when we find that every time we want to do a job with an app, and we need to manually process it, so this is a common problem, and Apple knows about the issues. So they build a standard solutions to kill all the manual steps when using apps, which is the series. So imagine that we could just say, so hey Siri, create task in Airtables that is named, for example, just prepare the webinars, prepare presentations, and then Siri will do all the rest of jobs for us, so that it can help us to open the Airtables, find the base, and just directly create the record. So it's a great solution provided by Apple 10 years ago, and Apple is putting a lot of resources to push the app owners to support series. But the Airtable officials, they don't have series support. And potentially they will never have this support because it's not their current focus. The Airtable team, recent years, they are very busy, and so they're focusing on the AIs and focusing on finding new business users. So the mobile support for the series has been low priority for the Airtable teams. So I used to dig through the Airtable communities post. There's a feature request for supporting series, and that got no responses in the 5 years. And I just see that the view count of that post has been increased, but there's no response at all.
Tale as old as time.
So, but that's not means that we cannot solve the issues. There's a built-in app developed by Apple's that has been pre-installed on every Apple device. And the app's name is Shortcuts, and this is icon of that app. And if you have iPhone or iPad on your hand, you can find this app. It's pre-installed by Apple. So Shortcuts is a way that allows users to extend the device abilities. So just like we are Airtable users, we can install extensions to extend the ability of Airtables doesn't provide. And iPhone users, they can install shortcuts to extend Siri, to extend the ability of their phones. So every shortcut that has been installed on the iPhone, iPad will extend the ability of the iPhone and telling Siri that how it can control the Airtables. So by installing shortcuts, and the users, they can use series with Airtables. So here is a demo that for the shortcuts that we built, and to help users use series to control Airtables. Let me find the video. Okay, here it comes.
Need to share again.
Yeah.
I think, Ali, you've got an iPhone, right? Camille and I are still holding out.
No way.
The irony of it all is I do not have an iPhone.
I would think that'd be a requirement.
You know, it's been over a year. They haven't kicked me out yet.
I love it.
I did finally switch to a MacBook, but
I do have a MacBook.
I love my Apple products. I don't think I could go back.
I don't know. I've had a Mac for my personal computer since probably college. I think I had one in undergrad, so it's been over a decade for me, but I've always had an Android.
Yeah.
did you find it, Jim? Any luck?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So this is the solutions.
So you'll need to share again.
Okay. Could you see the slides?
You need to click the present button again.
Oh. Yeah. Seems after that YouTube has been got the first screen that it will just stop the screen sharing. Yeah. Now it's done.
There we go. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, let's have a quick recap of the solutions. So firstly, we provide shortcuts for Airtable users. Airtable users install the shortcuts on their device. And by installing the shortcuts on the device, the iPhone's ability has been extended, so they can use Siri to control Airtables. So next time, then when users, they want to just create one record in the Airtable base, they just need to use Siri, and so that the 100-hour wasted times could be fully saved. And we can just use Siri to help us to do all of the rest of the work. So the last question is where to get the shortcuts. And this is the product that we're building, the Airtable shortcuts libraries. So by meaning it's as a library, so we have 15 shortcuts in the libraries. And the create record with Siri is just one of the shortcuts we firstly built. And after that, we built the first shortcut, and we talked to the users, we got feedback from them, and we're adding more and more the following 14 shortcuts into the libraries. And so we build shortcuts for Airtable users. And we also have we used to provide a paid shortcuts customization service. And because when we firstly launched the first shortcuts in the libraries and follow up, there are some users that reach out to us that if we could build some customized shortcuts that's just for their business. So we provide such service for them. And after that, when we have built customized shortcuts for them, and some users will ask for them that if we could just add your shortcuts we built for you to back into the libraries, and they are very generous, and with their help, and we are gradually adding more and more shortcuts into the library. So here is goes through of the current shortcuts that is in the library. The first one is create record with Siri, and this is our first shortcut. And of course, if you don't like use Siri, you can just use typing to create record. But also you still don't need to open the Airtable app. And the next popular shortcut is that Airtable has very useful Chrome extensions, the web clippers, which allows the users to just pick up on a web page and directly save them into the base. But that Chrome extension doesn't work in the iPhones, in the mobile device. So we just simulate a similar function shortcut, and it's just made for iPhone and iPad. So people can just open their Safaris, and when they browse some website they are interested in, and you can use the mobile web clipper to save the web page into their Airtable base. And the next shortcuts, and they are similar to the web clippers. The web clipper helps the users to save web page into Airtables. So the next shortcut helps users to save photos into the Airtables. So for example, when someone sends you an image, important image in the WhatsApp, in the email, that you can just directly save the photos into the Airtable base, and you don't need to open the Airtable app. And this will works for any arbitrary file types. So photos, email attachment, text files, they can all be used shortcut to quickly saved into the Airtable base. And another very popular shortcut is pin table on home screen. And this shortcut will help you to just add your favorite table base, directly put it on your iPhone home screens. And I mentioned in the Slack channel that we will give all the attendees these shortcuts for free and as a gift. So let's talk about it a bit later. And there are also 11 more shortcuts on airtableshortcuts.com, and you can view our homepage for more information. And after building this product, and we have got some testimonials. So so far we have helped provide customized and generic shortcut service to around 30 clients that from across the world. Majorly they are from the United States, and because most Airtable users are in the US, but there are also users from Dubai, Switzerland, and Australia. And I know that there's Airtable employee using our shortcuts also. I learned this from because they will left customer mail address in our systems, and I used to find that there's one address that is airtable.com. So there's Airtable employees that is using the shortcuts. And also that when we are launching the launch of the shortcut libraries on Twitter, and it's got liked by the Airtable officials. It's a great surprise to us, because we can just got a credit from the officials. There's a like that that directly from the Airtable official Twitter account. Yeah.
Very cool.
So yeah, so let's move to the gift sections. I mentioned that there will be a free shortcut for everyone that kindly join the podcast, which is the pin table on home screen shortcut. So in brief, it had add your favorite tables to iPhone home screens for quick access, and so that you don't need to wait the long loading circles of the Airtable app. You can directly open the app, the tables that you wanted, and there are unlimited numbers of tables can be added with beautiful icons made by Apple. So here's a demo, and this is iPhone home screens. And we can see that from the second lines, they are all Airtable tables bases, and they are being pinned on the whole screens. And each of them, their icons, color, and name can be specified by the users. Let's see if this. So here, and we touch the icons, and it will directly open the favorite tables, which is the daily notes. So it opens the daily notes. Let's choose another icons, and this is expense tracking tables. And so it's the green icon, open green table. Then the project task tables is open for project tracker, and the marketing tables is just open for the marketing tables. So every tables, we quickly access 4 tables, and in just less than 15 seconds. So imagine that if we don't use this, and if we use the Airtable app, mobile app, it could wasted us at least 5 times more time to just navigating between different bases. So yes, and here's we want to share it as a free giveaway to the communities, because we learned really a lot from the BuiltOnAir communities. Actually, many of our current paid users are from the Slack channels. And so you can just download the shortcut and using this link, dub.sh and pin table. So this is a short link. And after you have downloaded the shortcut, there's setup instruction videos that will tell you how you could set up the shortcut and in just in less than 1 minute. Yeah, it's very easy to set up. And just about 2 weeks ago, I helped a gentleman and from Australia who is about 20 years more older than me, and for the shortcut setup, and he just very smoothly set up all those shortcuts. Yeah, so you can so the giveaways is in these 2 links, and you can I will send the link to you post the meeting, so you can have a look of them. And one more thing is that there's for this shortcut only, this has no copyright, and you have all the freedoms to modify it to your own, and you can feel free to redistribute to any Airtable users that you think that it could benefit them for the shortcut. And the point that I want to make this shortcut no copyright and can be redistributed is that I know that many experts in our community, in the BuiltOnAir communities, they are consultants. So if you are a consultant and you build a great base for great solutions for your clients, and you can modify the pin table on home screen shortcut, you can change the table URL to the table that you have just built for your clients, and you can send that link of the shortcut to your clients, and your clients can just added the base that you have been built for them directly on their iPhone home screens. I think this would be greatly improve the user satisfaction of your clients. Yes, because you have built a great solutions, and the solutions is great, but the Airtable mobile app is very slow, and the slow mobile app will cause that your user use less of your solutions. I think it's not reasonable. I want that every consultant, they could have best approach to deliver their solutions to their clients on the mobile device.
Very cool.
And yeah, and just back to the Airtable shortcuts libraries, and the pin table on home screen is a very easy to use and a very useful shortcut. But note that we have 15 much more powerful shortcuts and in the shortcuts library for you to explore. And never worry about the shortcuts setups, because every paid users will provide a free 30-minute meetings with engineers for the shortcuts setup. And most meeting it will be between you and me, and sometimes with others. And of course, you can set up all the shortcuts on your own, because for every shortcuts, we have provided 4 setup instruction videos. So this can be self-service setup or use the live support meetings. If you're interested, please visit our homepage just at airtableshortcuts.com. Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
Yep. No, that's awesome. That comes in handy. I'll actually be reaching out to you. We've got a use case of needing to get TikTok. I know you've got TikTok to aggregate the information. We need
from Max
to be able to extract the post and send the post.
We used to provide a customized shortcuts for Max Bernstein, and he's one of very early users. In current library, there's a shortcut for saving the TikTok influencer infos into the Airtable base.
Yeah. So we need a similar one, not that exact use case, but something different. So I'll reach out to you.
Sure, great. I'll send you the link for my contact. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, Jim. That's awesome. So check them out. And with that, quick shout out. If you would like to join our community and you're not in there already, join us, builtonair.com/join. That gets you access to our free newsletter that's putting out great content every week or two. You don't want to miss that newsletter. It's been revamped. So be sure to look for that in your inbox, and great stuff there, as well as our Slack community, thousands of Airtable users. So check us out at builtonair.com/join. And with that, we're going to finish with Ali and interfaces.
All right. Excellent. Okay, so this is just an interesting, I think, little hack that I had to just put together for a client that I thought might be useful to share. So we were setting up a system to collect NPS scores. And if you're not familiar, NPS scores stands for Net Promoter Score. It's a way for teams and companies to collect feedback from their customers or their membership or whatever you might have, and get a feel for how satisfied those people or customers are with your product or with your service. And it's kind of interesting. I didn't know how NPS scores were calculated until I had to take this project on. And it's not a way that I would have thought. It's basically you take the total number of submissions. So I've got 75 records here. You calculate what percentage of them are your promoters, and promoters are anybody that have given you a score of a 9 or a 10. Then if somebody has given you a score of a 7 or an 8, they are a neutral. That's a neutral score. So that doesn't actually add or detract from your total at all. And then if you've got a 6 or below, that is a detractor. So that actually subtracts from your score. So you basically get the percentage of how many promoters you have, and then subtract from that the percentage of how many detractors you have. And that is your overall NPS score. So what we're looking at here is a NPS score of 90.67%. So the interesting challenge that I had for this was not only to be able to get the total percentage of that score, but also if I wanted to be able to filter that number, like filter by a date range, for example, I had to do some fancy stuff to get that to work, because in an interface, if you just use the regular built-in filters, it's going to show you only the records that add up or that fall in that date range, but your percentages are going to be off because there's no way to know. The interface doesn't have a way to surface how many records it's showing you and do math on the fly based on that number of records. So I had to come up with a way to filter the records down, but also kind of redo the math at the same time. So I did a little fancy trick. And I'm going to go into how that's done really quickly. But first, I'll actually just show you the end result. So this interface right now is just showing one. For my client, they have several different types. So over here, I might have, they might be collecting an overall NPS score, and then they might have NPS scores for different sections of their business, like maybe different departments. So that's why I'm using the record review option here. But I'm just going to go into one example. So I've got the all-time NPS score at the top here. And then I have this filter section to be able to say, all right, well, maybe I'm only interested starting August 1st. So if I put that number in and give it a second, there we go. I don't know why that took so long. Now I've got an NPS score of 84.62. And everything down here is filtered to just show from August 1st on. But let's say, actually, I want to start with August 6th. That should actually make my score 50%. So if I change this to the 6th, no, excuse me, it's 0 because it's 50 and 50. I'm still getting used to the math. Because 50% said they like it, 50% said they don't. So 50 minus 50, that's an overall score of 0. So the way that I'm doing this, and this does have a couple gotchas. So only one user can filter this at a time, because this is not one of the built-in filters that Airtable gives you in the interface that's kind of specific to you to be able to play with. So if somebody else came into this interface, they would also see the same exact numbers that I'm seeing here. So that is the one downside here. But I did put in this cool little reset button here, so you can click this and it clears out these two fields. So the way that this works is I have a summary record, which is something I use pretty often. It is kind of it's a double-edged sword, because this can definitely slow your base down. If you have a lot of data and you're using this method, you might see some performance issues. But if you're only dealing with, maybe a couple thousand records, it shouldn't be an issue. I have an automation set up that every time a new score is added, it links up that record to the summary record. So all of the scores end up linked to this summary record. Then I'm able to get the count of how many there are. And when I get that count, I then roll it back down to this table so I can see what percentage each record is actually contributing to that overall score. And that just looks like this. I have it all in this roll up field, and I'm saying, all right, if I have a value for this count field, then I want to get what percentage this one record is of that value. And then I multiply it either by 1 or -1 based on if it's a promoter or a detractor. So if it's going to be adding to that score or taking away from that score. So that's how the overall score works. Then the filtering, I have on the summary record a start date and end date field. And these are the fields that are displayed in my interface. So that's the start date and end date field. Once I enter in values here, they get rolled back down to all of the scores. So they show up on every single one of these records here. As an example, I'll put in August 1st again. And so now you can see every single record here has 8-1 as a reference point. And I have a formula that's quite complex that essentially is just looking at these two dates and saying, okay, if there's a date here, does this created time fall within that date range? And it returns a 1 if it does. So from that point forward, I can then roll that count back up to my summary record and say, okay, now I only have 13 records that fall within this date range. And then I perform that same switch function all over again to say, okay, is this a promoter or a detractor? And is it going to be adding or removing from that score to get my total at the end? So it's kind of just a little bit of a way to filter your records, a different approach, but it was something that we needed to be able to do this math on the fly and still be able to cut it into different slices. So I thought it might be interesting to share.
Yeah.
That is really cool. And I can see 1,000 ways that this can be implemented as well. Like from my understanding, it doesn't necessarily have to be dates as your filters. If you had a drop down of category, you could do the same thing. And, you know, if you had a whole bunch of time, you could add more than just those two fields as well, I assume.
Absolutely. Yeah, you could have all sorts of things here to be able to match to the data. And yeah, the only downside is that it's not user specific. It's you know, you're editing the data for everyone. So that's the downside. But if you don't have many people in here, it shouldn't be that big of a problem.
I have done something where if you add another table and each table is like one record per person, and in the filter field, in this case, start date and end date existed there, then you would be able to have this interface page filtered to only show my record.
Right.
And then you'd be able to do it. But it does require you to have one record per person, or one record per collaborator, I should say, and, you know, extra fields, and no telling what that would do to performance.
Exactly. Yeah, I've thought about that. And you could do exactly what Camille is saying. The only downside is that you would not only need one record per person, but you would need to duplicate all 4 of these fields for each person as well.
Yeah.
And do the math over and over again, which if you only have one purpose of this base, if it's just to calculate these scores, I wouldn't be too worried about performance. It's more about the scalability of it, because every time you add someone, you need to then go and add 4 more fields. But regardless, it works for what we need, and it's also made me wish for more flexibility or more features within interfaces. It would be great to be able to like surface what's on this screen. Like, for example, if I'm filtering this list, I wish I could have a button that's like send an email to everyone on this list that's in this interface. Right now, you can't do that. So that's all sorts of things I'm wishing for. But this is my little hack to get around that issue right now.
Awesome. Yeah, that is a great hack.
Yeah.
Very useful.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you, Ellie, for sharing that. And that concludes this week's show. We'll be back next week. Hope you can join us. Thank you all. Thank you, June, for joining us. And be sure to get your free shortcut from June. We'll send out the link and you can
Yeah.
find it there.
I'll send it in the Slack channel. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Catch you next week.
Thank you.